Opinions are all over the place about this Auburn quarterback rotation. Boy, we got a hot take for you today.
Well, Zach, I actually just finished crushing some chicken farm, and I am freaking ready to rock and roll.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining us as he does every Tuesday, Auburn message board legend Charlie 5, broadcasting live from Barbaritos. We'll touch more on them in just a moment, but you had a blazing take about Auburn's quarterback rotation, and I can't think of a better way to open up the show.
Yeah, I'm going to start. So with everything that's gone on and what we've seen, I think moving forward, and this has to do with the two-quarterback system and you know what skills that each quarterback has, I think it's almost more of a threat now for TJ to run than it is for Robby to throw.
Oh, my goodness.
How's that going to go? How's that going to say?
Well, I think the 3 passes from Robby, I think that kind of says what the coaching staff thinks about his arm.
Sure.
But where is the rushing threat for TJ? Is this because he scored off of the read option when he and Jarquez were back there in the red zone? Is that it? Oh, okay. You think that was enough?
Because I think it's a lot easier to prepare for – it's a lot easier to prepare for to stop a running quarterback when you know that's all they can do, okay? And then when you're very limited in what you can do throwing the ball, it just makes it that much easier to sort of squash the game plan, so to speak, for what little limited things that Robby can do. TJ, I know we have to have these conversations. I got something to say about that a little bit later too, about how good he can be before some interceptions or how good he was after interceptions. He can throw the ball. He can be accurate. He can make things happen through the air, and it's a lot harder to game plan to stop a effective passer and pull people out of the box than it is to and then when he has the opportunity to pull one and run it, it's normally going to be a fairly big gainer. Or when he breaks contain because nobody really respects him to run, he could possibly do some things there. I just feel that after these first 2 weeks, we've done such a disservice to both kids. I'm just not a two-quarterback system guy. You know, I think Robby needs 10 to 15 plays that he becomes immaculate at, and they need to be very situational. Short yardage, goal line. Let him do the things that he can do well and become really good at them, because for whatever reason, I mean, he hasn't played a lot of football. He hasn't played a lot of any football other than this year. So, to just go out there and experiment, to me, when the first 2 weeks you need to be getting to peak form going into this Penn State game, I don't know. It's been curious to me. I hope that we can turn it around, and I hope that we can find something, because we got to find something for this game, because what's happened the last 2 weeks is not going to work.
No. If Auburn plays like they did the first 2 weeks, they will lose on Saturday to Penn State. Missouri becomes incredibly difficult, I think, if you play just like you did the first 2 weeks, and you may lose to LSU as well. And obviously, Auburn doesn't want that to happen. So I'm with you as far as like the first 2 games need to be tune-ups. And look, try different things. But you and I were talking while we were having lunch here at Barbaritos. The wide receivers, if I'm a wide receiver right now, I've got to be frustrated. Because, you know, if Robby's going to carry it 7 or 8 times a game, which I'm not saying that doesn't need to happen. I do think the rotation is interesting. But if I'm a receiver and it's like, well, do we have 10 wide receiver receptions this year? I don't think we do.
I don't think
through 2 games. Are you kidding me?
Pretty tough. Yeah. And then I think y'all addressed it with Lindsey, like in the game yesterday or the game Saturday, you didn't have a wide receiver reception until almost the end of the halftime, almost the end of half.
Unreal.
Almost 2 full quarters without throwing it to a wide receiver. Is that so much? Is that the game plan, or is that maybe the receivers just aren't quite as good as we thought they were going to be? It doesn't seem like anybody can really get separation except for Javarius Johnson. But then again, if you're not throwing it to him, how do you know?
Well, I don't know. Going through these rewatches, I mean, there are guys open now.
Sure.
And people are saying, well, the quarterbacks don't see him. It's like, no, well, most offenses in college, there's a first read that the coaches install with each play. So like on TJ's interception, you can tell that the call is to go to the out route, and he just missed. But there's a guy right in front of him running a drag. If you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you didn't see him. And it's like, yeah, that's tough. It stinks. But this isn't Madden. This isn't a thing where, a college quarterback's going to be able to go 3 reads deep every single pattern. It's just not going to happen.
It's not reality.
If it is, they're going to be a first or a second round draft pick, regardless of how accurate they are. If they can just process information that quickly, the NFL is going to want to take a chance on them. And TJ, I don't think TJ is that guy. I don't think you do. But I do think TJ could be a serviceable quarterback. I still stand by what we talked about all summer, which was, hey, if TJ can just be an average SEC quarterback, this Auburn team can win 7 or 8 games.
Right. No, I'm with you 100% on that. But here's the conversations that cannot happen. We cannot happen anymore. It can't be he was good before the interceptions or he was good after the interceptions, because against a team like Penn State, it's probably too late after that. It's probably too late. He could be if you make mistakes against a team like this, what you do after may not even matter. It could put us so far behind the 8 ball, and I'm not 100% sure that we're necessarily built to just come back from adversity. Right now. It's sort of a thing where we have to sort of stay ahead of the chains, stay ahead, and he's just got to make better decisions. We had 4 as bad as everybody wants to bang on Bo last year. I think he threw 4 interceptions the whole year. We have 4 through the first 2 games against nobody. I'm sorry, there's nobody. That can't happen. That can't happen moving forward. And what happens when the talent level wraps up or wrenches up, 100% on Saturday? I mean, it's just you can't. And again, I hate to keep harping on it. I just feel like we just kill TJ's rhythm with this yanking out on 1st and 10 from our own 30 and starting to drive with Robby. I've never really understood that. I don't think anybody can give me several examples where stuff like that actually works long term.
Let me ask you a question. Sorry to cut you off, but I think this is kind of where we're going. Can you imagine if Gus Malzahn would have handled the quarterbacks this way?
He did, and we got mad at him. That's the thing. He played 6 one game. We still talk about it 10 years later.
And I think they're doing this because I still believe this coaching staff wants Robby Ashford to be the starter.
I think they did for sure.
Yeah.
I think
there's a chance of that ship has sailed at this point. And you and I have talked about this before. If it's close, I think they give it to Robby or Calzada or whoever, not TJ, just because I think it's easier to explain if things go south, right? But
yeah,
you could tell they gave him the opportunity and he didn't pass the test.
How do you not? I don't want to go I don't want to be too negative because we're only 2 games in. But how do you not know already? How do you not? We have one. I mean, in theory, you have one of the better defensive lines that you can go against. How do you not let Robby go live? Or if you feel like the only chance you get to see it, the light really come on is whenever he's got pads on and it's full contact. When have quarterback races ever gone into the season? I can't remember that ever being a thing. And it being a good team. I don't know. That's I'm really struggling with that. Does not mean we can't be better. Does not mean TJ can't take over from this point forward and build and be great. But so much time I feel like is wasted. So much valuable time these last 2 weeks. I feel like we should have thrown it 35 times a game. TJ should have let TJ throw 35 times a game because I think I still think we're gonna struggle running the ball against good defenses, and we're gonna have to be able to throw it with some form of competency. Just so much wasted time.
I'm there with you. As we broadcast today's Locked on Auburn live from Barbaritos. Where is this attacking defense we were told about with Jeff Schmedding? We'll touch on that in just a moment, right here on Locked On Auburn. From cringing at the pump to getting an eye-popping check at your favorite restaurant, inflation is hitting us all where it hurts, and it really hurts. That's why I started using Upside. Upside is an incredible app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or dines out, which is pretty much all of us. With every purchase, I'm earning cash back thanks to Upside. It's an extremely easy-to-use app. You make a purchase at any of their selected stores, a lot of different gas stations there, a lot of different grocery stores, and a handful of restaurants as well. All you have to do is once you're done, you redeem the offer, you take a picture of the receipt, and boom, it takes a little bit to process, but you all of a sudden get cash back that's yours, and you can deposit it in different ways, cash, PayPal, gift cards, whatever you want. It's awesome. Download the free Upside app and use promo code LOCKED, L-O-C-K-E-D, to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more using promo code LOCKED, L-O-C-K-E-D. Charlie 5, before we jump into this attacking defense that we were told about, shout out to the folks here at Barbaritos for taking good care of us.
You attacked a burrito bowl. Like
you destroyed it. You destroyed
it.
And
full of jalapenos and steak.
And you made them just drown it in that like chipotle sauce.
Said don't be shy. That chipotle ranch, you kidding me? That's the best sauce.
You were a little aggressive about it. Let's be honest here. But that's okay.
The lady, the nice lady behind the counter, she double taked at least 3 times. She was like, keep going. I said, absolutely, don't be shy. Fill it up.
Yep. So we'll be eating a late lunch every Monday at Barbaritos, 3 o'clock. Come by and hang out with us. We record the show after. We'd love to have you a part of all of that. But also, kids eat free on Mondays, and also as it's a big time of year for tailgating, and they got your catering needs covered. All you have to do is call the store and mention that you heard it on the show, and you'll get 15% off. So
you can order that ranch by the gallon.
I don't know if that's confirmed, but you can certainly ask for sure. So, yeah, be sure to check out our friends at Barbaritos. So we were told all offseason, Jeff Schmetting has taken over as DC.
Called the Bama game.
Yep, we're going to see this attacking defense, and it has not been attacking whatsoever. In fact, it's been extremely, extremely passive. I guess we're supposed to just assume it's because we've seen a lot of vanilla stuff because they could afford to run vanilla stuff against Mercer and San Jose State. That's the full way of looking at it. Yeah, it's sprinkled on or something different. Right.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's either one thing or the other. He either called the Bama game or it was his game plan in the Bama game. And it's like, okay, maybe you just game plan different for different teams and you can see different results. I mean, maybe that's just, I don't know, call me crazy. Maybe it's not a cookie cutter every single week you do the exact same thing. On the flip side, this, for whatever reason, we continue to make teams look like they have better quarterbacks and receivers than us. Like the past 2 weeks, I felt like there's better receivers and a better quarterback in both weeks. It's crazy. I don't understand why we have on paper one of the best defensive lines that we've ever had. They're getting a ton of pressure for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. We're not getting home. We're not making the stop, and we're still playing so far off the ball. And they're just slanting us, digging us to death. And there was 3 12-play drives, if I'm not mistaken. 3 12-play drives, 2 9-play drives. They just kept the ball forever. We couldn't get off the field. And that's San Jose State. They gave up 7 sacks the week prior. Like, something's got to change. You should be able to vanilla dominate both of these games. You should be able to smother them.
Drown them in vanilla. Right.
Drown them in vanilla extract. Just 100%. And we're not doing it. And, we joke about Sean Clifford, and he threw for like 112% against us last year. What's going to happen this year? I mean, another year in the system. He does not have, is it Dotson, the really good wide receiver?
John Dotson, yeah.
But, I mean.
No, I went back and watched their first 2 games this morning, and they look good. They look really, really good. The Purdue game made them look a little bit more vulnerable than Ohio, which is to be expected. But I don't know. It was a season opener. It was at Purdue. It was a Thursday night, like a weird scenario.
Yeah.
But still, Clifford was fine.
Bad.
Way better than what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
I want to circle back to that point you just made because somebody commented and went after Daryl, who does the morning after show with me, the Sunday edition of Locked on Auburn, saying like Daryl's take was bad because he referred to the fact of, these guys transferred from a Mountain West school to a Mountain West school. They're not more talented than Auburn. And they're like, it doesn't mean that. And I'm like, it does. it does 99% of the time. Auburn is going to have better players than the Mountain West guys.
They should.
Yeah, they absolutely should. Something is very wrong if that's not the case.
Why do they look that way, though? That's the question. Why does it look like they're better?
And it's against corners that I think are really decent. Nehemiah Pritchett, Jalen Simpson, DJ James.
Nehemiah has been getting blasted, and honestly, he probably deserves a little bit of it. But like last year, he had like one of the best per attempt, whatever. It's like yards per attempt defended in the whole country. Like definitely in the SEC. Like he's a good player. He has incredible speed. Thank God he has that incredible speed, or we may have given up more points.
Right.
But I don't know if it's a scheme thing. I don't know if it's a technique thing. I don't know what it is. But for whatever we're doing, does not seem to be working.
It's not working. Yeah. And so we'll see. BetOnline has Penn State favored by 2.5 points.
That was my pick that it would open around there. I thought that would be about where it would open.
I assume it's that close because it's in Auburn, but I'm surprised it's that close, if I'm being honest with you.
Well, that means they really think we're probably – I mean, they always say that home field advantage is 3 points, so they really think it's about a touchdown, about a 6-point game or something like that, and on a neutral field, which may be fair right now after what we just saw. But again, understand – you don't have to – just because you think we have a poor performance does not mean you think that we can't be better. Right. I think we have some very good players. I think we probably have at least 5 draftable dudes on defense and a couple of guys that could probably be drafted on offense. Like, I think we have some players, okay? I think we have the ability to win games. I think we have the ability to run the ball down people's throats. But for whatever reason – the first 2 weeks, I don't know if it's the quarterback situation. I don't know what it is. It's not clicking, but it can. It can click just like that. It could have taken that last week to wake everybody up, which I wouldn't think they would need waking up when you're picked to finish last in at least the division, maybe the conference.
Right.
But, maybe that did take them wake them up a little bit. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. They're definitely beatable. Penn State's definitely beatable, but
I agree.
Not with what we've seen the last 2 weeks out of Auburn.
Ranked teams coming into Jordan-Hare Stadium, like Auburn's got a chance. Auburn certainly has a chance, but 2.5 just seems low to me. Who are you picking Saturday?
At 2.5, I'd pick us to win because I think we might win by 3, at least 3 points. So I think we'll get into a situation. If we don't turn the ball over, I think we'll get into a situation where we might have a field goal to win late. So that's kind of what I see right now.
Before we jump into our conversation with Auburn tight end John Samuel Shenker, Charlie 5, how can people find you, hear you, read you, all that stuff?
Absolutely. Find me on Twitter at @the_Charlie_5 in the Locked on Auburn Discord. Guys, so much fun. Locked on Auburn. Great dudes in there. A lot of fun. AuburnLive.com, the corner message board, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday on the Dad by Golf Pod.
I got to tell you about our friends at Alumni Hall. Alumni Hall is the place to buy all of your officially licensed Auburn gear. We ate lunch at a restaurant next to Alumni Hall over in Tigertown, and my daughter was freaking out because she wanted to go see Obby. Like I said, she thinks Obby lives there. But they've got all kinds of, whether it's polos or jerseys or whatever you need for game day, whatever your fit, whatever your style is for game day, Alumni Hall has you covered. Also, if you want decor for a man cave or your living room or bedroom, whatever it may be sure to check that out. Charlie 5 gets a lot of his kids' clothes from there. Alumni Hall has a little bit of everything. And, hey, if you're not in the Auburn, Opelika, Lee County area, you can go to alumnihall.com, and they've got an outstanding selection, and you can order with great shipping rates, and it gets there extremely fast. So be sure to check that out at Alumni Hall in person or alumnihall.com. Our weekly visit with Auburn tight end John Samuel Shenker is brought to you by the Crawford Willis Group with eXp Realty. John Samuel Shenker. It is here. I know you guys take it one game at a time, but us that cover the team and a lot of folks watching, they've had this Auburn Penn State game circled really since probably the end of the season. So what's it like for you? Is there a different vibe in practice and in the locker room, or is it just any other week?
Yeah, I think this is a big week. A lot of guys look forward to this game, especially after last year. We felt like that game got taken from us there at the end. So the guys that are back for this one are very excited. It's a big game for us and for Auburn. Just unique, too. I mean, this is a once-in-a-lifetime game to come to Auburn and watch Auburn play Penn State.
What's it like playing these guys last year? I mean, how is the preparation different from last year to this year?
Well, I think you have an anticipation of kind of what to expect. Big Ten football is a little bit different, and you got to see that last year and just how the style of game that they play. So I think that's a big advantage, really, for both teams. Honestly, that's kind of an advantage because now you see how the teams play and everything. But it's going to be, it's going to be a test. Obviously, they're a good football team, and I'm sure they think they have an advantage coming off what happened to us last week and how we played. But it's our duties to get ready for this game.
Last year, it seemed like the environment was pretty cool up in Happy Valley, but now Penn State gets to come here. What do you expect Jordan-Hare Stadium to be like on Saturday?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be quite Iron Bowl, but I'm expecting a really big crowd that's really rowdy and ready to go. 2:30 kickoff, which is prime time for the SEC. So I think our fans are really excited about it. I know they all talk about it. That's all I get asked about is, you ready for the Penn State game and things like that. So I think they'll be ready to go.
You mentioned the play that you guys had last week. Really a slow start offensively. A lot of penalties. I know you had a handful. That first one was extremely questionable in my mind, but it took a little bit for the offense to get going. What do you look at specifically in trying to make sure that doesn't happen again?
Yeah, it was really sloppy. I think overall on the offensive side, we knew that, especially after watching it yesterday and went over as a unit. But that's, part of the game is learn how to win when you have those tough nights. And we definitely found a way to do that. We didn't think our preparation last week was as great either, for whatever reason that may be. And so that's something that we're really focused on this week is making sure that we uncover all the stones, we prepare the right way to get ready for the game. Sure.
What do you take away from, I guess, the early offensive struggles? I mean, was it a focus thing just, as a whole? Was it a little bit of peeking ahead, or is it just, hey, not every night's going to be your night kind of thing?
Yeah, I just think things just didn't go our way. I don't think we were looking forward or anything. I just don't think, things didn't fall our way. Yeah, like some of the penalties were questionable and things like that killed drives. I don't think it was a matter of if we were focused. I thought we were ready to go in the locker room. I thought everybody was amped up and everything. But it was really exciting to see that we have resiliency to come back in the second half and really bounce back strong, to score right out of the break and to make sure that San Jose State knew that we were for real in the second half and to wear them down a little bit and things like that.
What was Coach Harsin's messaging to the team in regards to penalties? I imagine he had a lot to say about that.
Yeah, that can't happen, especially the weeks moving forward. I mean, you can't have – I think we had 10 penalties as a team. You can't have that and expect to win football games every week. And some of that was just undisciplined, and then some of it was just, unfortunate. But, yeah, that's a big no-no. I mean, you saw the Alabama game as well. And 15 penalties. So you can't do that kind of thing and expect to win against good football teams.
So TJ Finley, he throws an interception, but after that pick, John Samuel, he had maybe his best performance as an Auburn Tiger. What does that say about him?
Yeah, that was awesome to see. Coming from last year to this year, I think that's a big part of his growth is just being able to face adversity and just continue to the next play. And we talked about that yesterday, our ability to bounce back after all this negative stuff. There was nothing really going right. We found a way to start moving the train the right way, and that was really exciting, especially for TJ.
Who else on this offense in your mind stepped up over the course of the game? Obviously, TJ had a really good second half. Did anybody else impress you on this offense?
I thought Austin Troxell had a really good second half. He didn't have a great first half, but I thought he really handled. They have a really good defensive end. I think one of the top in the country, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
And he handled it pretty well in the second half and just started to wear him down a little bit.
So as you guys look ahead to Penn State, you mentioned Big Ten. It's a little bit different, but clearly I think everybody would agree it's probably the second best conference in college football. When prepping for Penn State, what stands out about this team?
Well, they're very physical, like they were last year. Very athletic. They're compared to last year. I don't think size-wise they're as big as they were last year, but they play with the same intensity. I mean, that's something that I think every year you're going to have with a Penn State team is there's consistently they're going to attack you. They're going to be physical. They're going to play hard, especially in a big game. They're going to play hard. So we'll get to see that, but also they get to come down to the Southern Heat, and we'll see how that affects them this weekend.
Yeah, 2:30 on an Auburn afternoon. It can get toasty. There's no question about that. Yeah, it'll be fun to see how they respond to that. So I was watching some of their stuff this morning, and they do a fair amount of different formations defensively. I mean, they run more 3 linebacker sets than a lot of folks that we've seen so far that Auburn's gone up against. How does that change how you guys prepare? I mean, you'll see 4-man, 4-2-5 stuff. They run 4-3s. They drop their defensive ends a ton. What all kind of goes into the prep for all that from a tight end perspective?
Yeah, you try and see consistencies, maybe down and distance, what they like to do, and then personnel-wise, who they like to drop, who they like to bring on blitzes, and things like that. Yeah. And typically there's tendencies in defenses, and you try to pick up those and practice those during the week just to get some consistency. But they're going to bring out things that we haven't seen yet. That's part of a game plan because every team does that, right? They'll bring out things that try to beat your tendencies and things like that. So, but yeah, you try to get the base stuff down that they do, and make sure you execute that well, like you're saying, the 4-2-5, and then they bring in a safety or a nickel into the box as well. It really becomes very imperative on IDs for our centers and our guards, just to get the right calls in, so that we're all on the same page.
When an edge rusher, or I guess it looks like an edge rusher, an outside linebacker, a stand-up defensive end, whatever term Penn State calls it, drops back into coverage, how much does that really impact what the offense is trying to do? Because they do it more than most teams in college football, it looks like. Yeah,
it normally is not a huge deal because normally he's just the flats defender.
Yeah.
And it's normally just to the boundary. So typically it's not a huge deal unless the quarterback just doesn't see him and it ends up throwing to the flat and he picks it off. But typically they just do that if it's some sort of they're rolling to cover 3 and they just want a flat defender out there. And but typically it's not a huge deal for teams. We do it a little bit. So it's really not an issue for the offense.
Our weekly conversation with John Samuel Shenker, brought to you by our friends at the Crawford Willis Group. If you are buying or selling your home or looking at a second home or investment property, it's a significant life move, so it's important to hire a professional real estate team to help you navigate the real estate market from start to finish, especially in today's market in the Auburn, Opelika, Lee County area. It is crazy. My family and I, as you can see, new setup if you're watching on YouTube, and it's because of the Crawford Willis Group that we were able to do this in such a seamless transition. In fact, they are listing our home and taking pictures, doing the marketing stuff right now as we record this conversation in our own home. So be sure to check all of it out at CrawfordWillisGroup.com. If you have any questions, they can absolutely help you there. The Crawford Willis Group, part of eXp Realty. John Samuel Shenker, the stable of running backs that have emerged, and I think we kind of all expected this to happen, but Tank Bigsby, Jarquez Hunter, and then the little bit, small sample size that we've seen of Damari Austin. I mean, Damari's looked incredible.
Yeah, we saw that in fall camp. He is a very talented individual, very mature for a freshman. Very excited about him. He's a great addition to our team, and he is all as advertised. He is an amazing running back, and he will definitely be helping us this year. That definitely helps with our depth throughout the season and things like that. But, yes, he is every bit as good as he showed this past weekend.
Yeah, I think that's exciting. I think Auburn fans are obviously excited about the current situation at running back, but also moving forward. It's just bright future there. There's no question about it. As far as like the rotation at all the positions, I mean, we're still seeing a good bit of that, less at wide receiver, but you're still seeing a little bit of rotation at the guard spot. You're seeing rotation at quarterback, which has been extremely well documented. Running back as well. Is that something that we should continue to expect throughout the season, including this weekend against Penn State? Or were these first 2 weeks kind of, hey, let's see what we've got, from the coach's point of view?
Well, I think part of that was just seeing seeing if somebody separated themselves.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think we'll probably continue to do that to an extent. I think especially in the O-line, I don't see an issue with that because Keandre Jones and Cam Stutz are both really good guards, and they both deserve playing time. They're both, so I don't think that'll change. It also keeps them fresh as well. It keeps them in the loop. It's not just leaving one guy out and letting him get stiff during a game and then throwing him in. Like he's in the game plan. He's running all the plays. He's keeping himself fresh. But yeah, I expect to continue to see that. I think it's beneficial for our team. And it just keeps guys ready to go throughout the game.
John Samuel, I don't know if you remember this because you probably did 1,000 interviews that day, but when you sat down with me at SEC Media Days, I asked, all right, who's the guy in the tight end room that we're not talking about? And you, without skipping a beat, said Brandon Frazier. And I'm not going to lie to you. I thought you were just giving me a name because he was working his tail off and you wanted to give some love to one of your guys. But he's been a part of this offense. Yeah,
we knew that going in that he was going to be a part of this offense. I thought he could have had a few more catches this weekend just on things that happen. But yeah, no, he's the real deal. Very consistent in what he does. You can always rely on him in the pass game and the run game. So you'll continue to see him on the field.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. John Samuel, thank you so much for your time as always, man, and best of luck. Huge game this Saturday.
Yes, sir. Thank you, War Eagle.
That is John Samuel Shenker joining us as he does every single week. And once again, that is courtesy of the Crawford Willis Group with eXp Realty. Hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll be back tomorrow for a little War Rapport Wednesday. All right here on Locked On Auburn. See you tomorrow.